Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about the new Avengers issue 1 by Sam Humphries, Ton Lima and Rain Burrito. Bucky Barnes, the Revolution, in the wake of fighting Valentina Allegra de Fontaine and the Fulgur Victoris, is back on the run from Doctor Doom's regime, and as the issue opens we find him talking with his old pal Earl, taking in the late New Mexico desert skyline. Bucky enjoys his chats with the old man, not from some bonding or life lesson angle, but because Earl is actually informing on the locals who are resisting Doctor Doom's rule, pretty much tattling on them and charging them higher prices for his fuel from his gas station. Bucky decides to make an example of Earl for doing just that, firebombing the man's gas station pumps so he can't sell gas to the wrong people anymore. I love Bucky is still taking the fight to Doom in just little ways like this, directly affecting the people under Doom's thumb. You know, he's freeing the people from the oppression, which is something that he kind of had to learn in that Doomstrike book, where it's not fighting Doom directly, it's actually inspiring people to stand up against Doom, and that's what's going to win the day in the end. Bucky soon finds himself at the wrong end of a gun, whose owner had snuck up on the hero. The gun owner is revealed to be Black Widow, who playfully tells Bucky that maybe he should work with a partner, since some things are more fun together. Later, after sleeping together, Natasha reveals that she's come to see Bucky since she has something to tell him, but Bucky isn't interested since he knows that she is trying to set up a team, and he found out the hard way teams and him don't really get along well together. Bucky and Black Widow have this kind of on and off again relationship over the last few years now, and it's something that I'm always kind of caught off guard by when it crops up. I think it's mainly because I'm so used to both of these characters in their MCU iterations, being spread across media as much as they were, where in that they barely had any interaction at all outside of like Civil War. I think they barely talked at all, but it's a fun dynamic for these characters to have, and I kind of like the idea that these two assassins or former assassins are kind of bonding over that, as well as their shared love for taking down fascist regimes. Bucky, unable to resist what Nat is dangling in front of him, looks over some plans she has brought, which depict an abandoned lumber camp in Russia. Natasha explains that the place has been receiving large shipments of genetic tech for some time now, and something big is happening there. Bucky thinks that she should call in the Avengers to deal with it, since he's done with teams and the chaos that comes with them. Natasha soon reveals that people have been disappearing from all over the area around the camp as well, and this ends up being the thing that kind of tips Bucky over, and he gives in, deciding to go and help some innocents who have been caught up unknowingly in whatever Doctor Doom is doing out there in Russia. I really do like the evolution Bucky has gone through, even just leading up into this series. It's all about the mission for him still, but the mission is now changed to, instead fighting directly against Doom and like his regime, he's now helping free the people. As I said before, he's freeing the people, and in doing so, that's actually defeating Doom because he's opening more people's eyes to what Doom is actually doing. That's also oddly a very Captain America thing to do as well, which is neat, especially considering Bucky has gone out of his way to say that he's not like Steve or not like any of the other Captain Americas or anything like that. He's his own person. Yet this is all very much a Captain America thing to do. Black Widow and Revolution soon arrive at the facility, disabling the outer perimeter guards, but they aren't alone, as Laura Kinney, the Wolverine, has joined them, slashing and smashing her way through the guards deeper into the base, garnering the entire base's attention. Wolverine being on the team is a great addition, and it's also kind of a great callback to the Bendis era of the New Avengers, which also featured Wolverine on that team as well. We do get to see how Bucky recruited Laura, as a few days before the attack on the base, Bucky meets with Laura as she is book shopping in New York, and Laura isn't too interested in joining any teams since she's not about the heroics anymore and doesn't want anything to do with the people Bucky are running with. Bucky, however, knows that he needs the more violent vibe she gives off, knowing that she would be a valuable member to the team since they aren't doing things the Avengers way this time round. In the present, as Wolverine takes on all of the guards' attention, Bucky and Nat break into a warehouse nearby, following a group of heat signatures. They soon find the missing people, only finding that they have been mutated in some way, with Bucky finding a woman who now has multiple eyes growing out of her head. Now I really adore body horror, and the way Sam Humphries is using it here and relating it back to Bucky's own body horror experiences, with getting, the metal arm and all the stuff he went into when he went under conditioning for his Winter Soldier era. I kind of like that he's genuinely shocked by what he is seeing here. Like, these people were just like people just living in the area, you know, having nothing to do with anything that's going on in the larger world, and whoever is doing this has like taken them and like subject them to like horrors beyond comprehension. So now they have to live a life of suffering, something he knows all too well. And because of this, he really wants to blow up the building now. The team head inside the larger base, finding a giant orb-like device inside with 7 doors on it. The team are suddenly confronted by the Jackal, who reveals that he is the one behind this facility, and the beings behind the 7 doors in front of the heroes are his creations. Jackal is always a really fun villain to, you know, get to experience every now and then, and I don't really have a lot of experience with him. I've seen him every now and then in like Spider-Man related stuff because he's mostly a Spider-Man villain, but I like here he's branching out and it's nothing to do with Spider-Man at all, it seems, and they're just making him a new Avengers villain, which is quite cool. Also, his costume is quite fun. He's just like a, you know, an imp, a goblin in like a fancy suit. So it's a good look for him. The Jackal alludes to doing all of this on behalf of someone, calling for his computers to open the containment units. Bucky calls in some backup and the building is hit with the equivalent of a bomb as Namor arrives to back the team up. Sometime before in Canada, Bucky meets with Namor, who isn't happy he contacted him via underwater sonar devices, telling Bucky that the killer whales in the area aren't too happy. Bucky asks his former Invaders teammate if he can do him a favor, and Namor actually brings up kind of a good point in that he is still talking about the Invaders and World War II, and that was just so long ago for both of these men, and he can't quite understand why Bucky is still clinging to that thing, since both of them have moved past that literally and figuratively so much. Both of them have evolved as characters since World War II. Bucky makes it known that he doesn't want to set up a new Thunderbolts team, and this is just a group of people getting together to help rescue some innocent people. Namor reluctantly agrees and tells Bucky as royalty he actually belongs on the Avengers, not some rinky-dink Thunderbolts team. I guess this is also going to be why the reason the team ends up calling themselves New Avengers, and it's not going to be the main reason, of course, but I kind of like this idea that Namor and his self-importance and his arrogance can't help himself but name the team that he's on the Avengers. They need to be, you know, something that's befitting of royalty. He can't be part of the Thunderbolts or anything. He has to be part of an Avengers team, hence why they decide to call themselves the New Avengers. In the present, Namor's explosive arrival leads to the team mostly being buried in rubble, but they're able to right themselves as the Jackal's containment units open. I kind of like that this kind of shows that the team isn't all there yet, that like they're not working as a one cohesive unit. You know, Namor just like blows his way into the facility, ends up burying half of his own teammates, so they can't, you know, aren't really ready for what's coming. I kind of like that idea that they're still trying to figure out their footing and how they all work together. Laura is soon shocked to find that both Professor Xavier and Iron Man are there as Iron Man blasts the heroes. Iron Man and Xavier aren't who they appear to be though, as the containment units open and out of them stepped warped versions of Xavier, Iron Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, 2 other unseen beings. If you haven't seen the solicitations, this is what Humphries is calling the KILLUMINATI, a warped, mutated take on the Illuminati. All of these new designs are just fantastic, and they're gross and they're weird. Everything I want from a plot that stems from the Jackal and his genetic fuckery. The villains assault the team, and Bucky knows that this isn't the real Illuminati, but they still pack a punch. During the battle, the Doctor Strange of the team gets in contact with Clea, who senses him and seemingly calls out to him. And I guess this is kind of out of context because this isn't referenced at all in the rest of the issue. So I'm guessing this is maybe Humphrey setting up what's going to happen a little later on down the line. Maybe the team are going to end up fighting some more magical foes and dealing with an out-of-control Sorcerer Supreme here, or an out-of-control magician, since I don't think this warped version of Doctor Strange is any sort of Sorcerer Supreme. Namor meanwhile takes roster of these mutant Illuminati members, even finding one for himself, which is a grotesque octopus monster baby thing. The being says his name is Imperium Rex, as he racks Namor's mind with Atlantean telepathy. Wolverine meanwhile battles the tech bro Iron Man, dubbing himself Iron Apex, who despite Laura stabbing him over and over, doesn't seem to go down, resulting in Laura getting her arm blown off, reducing reduced to nothing more than her adamantium skeleton. Namor finds Jackal, demanding to know what he has done to pervert the Atlantean life in front of him, threatening to kill the villain if he doesn't explain what's going on. Bucky, who is trapped in the trendles of Mr. Ouroboros, tells Namor to stop since they need Jackal alive to find out what he's done to the people outside. Much like Bucky's prior team, this one, as I said before, isn't really working well together. We had Namor coming in like a bomb and just kind of fucking everything up, and he's kind of doing it here again. You know, he's literally trying to kill the villain they need to take alive for answers. And it's proving Bucky's point about teams, not working well together. There's just chaos. Even in team members that he's worked with before, like Namor, he's like someone who can't be controlled all that well. So Bucky is kind of right in not wanting to be part of a team like this anymore, since it's just more trouble than it's actually worth. Before Namor can do anything else to Jackal, the being is atomized by the arrival of Bolt, mutated version of Black Bolt, who unleashes a loud scream of his name, which deafens the innocent people escaping into the nearby woods as the entire base is engulfed in a massive explosion. So if you've been following my channel for some time, you'll know I'm a huge fan of the Inhumans. I adore the Inhumans. I'll take any type of Inhuman related scrap I can get from Marvel at the moment, since they've been gone from Marvel for a number of years now. I love the idea of this giant Hulk-like being with Black Bolt's powers. Like, that's genuinely terrifying to think about. And Humphries isn't shying away from using him to great effect here, having him come in and just kind of end the threat to his people right away. My hope, though I don't think it will actually happen, but my hope is that this does lead to the Inhumans getting back involved in stories, or getting to be more involved in stories in some way, since they've been missing from comics for quite a while. They've had sporadic appearances, or at least Black Bolt has, through things like that Darkhold series from a couple of years ago, and some other series, but never have they really come back ever since the Death of the Inhumans series written by Donny Cates back in 2018. So it's kind of been a minute since we actually got them, and I'd really like to see them make a comeback. The New Avengers issue 1 is off to a very strong start, leaning heavily on the recent Doomstrike series to set up Bucky's intentions for starting a new team, but not so much that it alienates any new readers who are joining in on the story right here with issue 1. I am liking the tried and true dysfunctional dynamic of the team we have so far, as well as the villains being weirdo, body horrified versions of the Illuminati. Like, that's a pretty fun set of villains to open the book with. It makes for an action-packed, weird time, and I'm all for it. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.